Good afternoon. I'm Cheng, Senior Fellow and Director of the John L. Thornton China Center here at Brookings. Thank you for joining us for this timely and important discussion on the U.S. China economic relationship in advance of the upcoming Strategic and Economic Dialogue, or S&ED. This round of S&ED takes place at a critical time. Domestically, both China and the United States are confronting economic structure changes. China is facing even greater change as it witnesses an economic slowdown. In terms of the bilateral relationship, market access issues in both China and the United States have caused some concern. So have the pace of the BIT negotiation and the nature of China's financial liberalization. In the global arena, economic integration efforts such as TPP, AIIB, and China's Belt and Road Initiative all have major implications for economic order. By design, the S&ED links security issues and economic issues in a strategic way. The fact that this round of S&ED will occur soon after President Obama's week-long trip to Vietnam and Japan, and immediately after Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore, may raise anxiety on the Chinese side. All of these factors make this year's S&ED dialogue particularly important. U.S. China economic cooperation has long been the cornerstone of the bilateral relationship. But now we must ask, do our two economies still complement each other or one another? China's top priority is now service sector development, especially in public health, education, entertainment, logistics, tourism, and green consumption. These are all fields in which American business have an advantage, so in a way still complement one another. Will the Chinese government go beyond its policy outline and really implement forcefully the reform that lead to a more market-oriented and consumption-driven economy? We are deeply honored to be joined by Undersecretary of Treasury, S&ED, who will offer a preview of the S&ED, tell us what we can expect, and address some of these issues. As a top participant on the economic track of the dialogue and the senior official responsible for advising the Secretary of Treasury on international economic issues, Dr. Seeds has a remarkably broad range of leadership experience in both the private and public sector, in both academic and financial institutions, in both the federal government and the international organizations. Dr. Seeds, it is a great privilege to have you speak at the Brookings, and I know that you are extremely busy, and you probably will be on the road to somewhere else even before that trip to Beijing. And thank you for kindly agreeing to take your questions after your remarks. My distinguished colleague, Senior Fellow at the China Center, David Dollar, will moderate this discussion. Please join me in welcoming Undersecretary Nathan Seeds.
Well, it's very much a pleasure to be with you today. As you know, early next month, we will head to Beijing for the 8th Strategic and Economic Dialogue, more commonly referred to as the S&ED. The Strategic Economic Dialogue, established in 2006, proved to be a useful mechanism for managing and building a durable and constructive relationship between the United States and China, now the world's two largest economies. When the Obama administration chose to broaden the dialogue in 2009 to include strategic as well as economic issues, it was done with the understanding that the U.S. China bilateral relationship is complex, multidimensional, and covers a wide array of issues, from trade and investment to multilateral development and climate change to national security and nuclear nonproliferation. As you know, the strategic track discussions are led by Secretary Kerry and his team, while our team at Treasury, led by Secretary Liu, is focused on the economic relationship between our two countries. The S&ED mechanism has helped to resolve difficult problems and deepen our bilateral cooperation. In past years, we have seen notable successes in areas such as promoting the rule of law, strengthening regulatory transparency, encouraging economic reforms, including exchange rate flexibility, and making progress on financial reform. And it is important that such progress continues. Through last year's S&ED in June and on the margins of President Xi's visit to Washington, D.C. in September, we were able to have a robust exchange of ideas and make concrete progress on an ambitious set of economic outcomes. In the economic track this year, we will engage China on a number of key issues, including global excess industrial capacity, investment liberalization, and macroeconomic rebalancing. Generally speaking, we will continue pushing for reforms that lead to more balanced, sustainable growth in China and that provide a more level playing field for U.S. exporters, workers, and firms. This year, we continue to press China to support domestic demand and household income through consumer-friendly policies, improve transparency in the provision of economic data, especially the services sector, and in the formulation of regulations, to open markets by liberalizing China's investment rules, including through negotiations on a mutually beneficial high-standard bilateral investment treaty, or BIT, as well as pressing for more immediate market openings where possible, and ensuring that China's national security review process for foreign investment does not create new barriers. We are also encouraging the Chinese authorities to reduce excess industrial capacity in China's key base metal sectors and to make supply in these sectors more sensitive to underlying domestic and global demand conditions, to implement reforms that will foster an orderly transition to a market-determined exchange rate, to address trade barriers and discriminatory regulatory processes in a number of sectors and in cross-cutting areas like competition policy, to join the Paris Club as a full member, consistent with the club's operating principles and practices, and to establish a new set of official export credit disciplines to create a level playing field for U.S. exporters in third country markets. We have also been discussing with Chinese authorities mechanisms to facilitate RMB trading and clearing in the United States, a priority highlighted in President Obama's meeting with President Xi last September. Given China's G20 presidency this year, we have emphasized the importance of achieving solid outcomes at the S&ED to build momentum for the G20 Leaders Summit 3 months later. In conversations with our counterparts at various levels in the Chinese government, we have repeatedly stressed the importance of delivering meaningful outcomes for our stakeholders that are in line with China's stated reform goals to move toward greater openness and to give the market a more decisive role in the economy. China has begun embarking on a reform agenda that outlines a path toward more sustainable and balanced growth. These reforms include reducing industrial overcapacity, limiting corporate leverage, opening up the services sector, strengthening the social safety net, implementing land reform, and promoting a more market-based financial system. A central goal of the S&ED has always been to encourage China to take more responsibility alongside the United States for maintaining and advancing the institutions and standards of the existing international economic architecture. Concretely, we hope that China will join the United States in pursuing common goals such as global rebalancing through the G20, contributing more to the concessional financing windows of multilateral development banks, transitioning to a low-carbon global economy, coordinating debt workouts through the Paris Club, financing counterterrorism efforts, developing consistent export credit policies, and embracing high-quality environmental and governance standards in development lending. Just last September, when in Washington for his official state visit, President Xi committed to meaningfully increase China's financial contributions to the World Bank and the regional development banks for the world's poorest countries, and also pledged that new multilateral institutions such as the AIIB would operate in line with the high environmental and governance standards of existing institutions. Constructive engagement with China is important for the United States and for the millions of American jobs that depend on a strong, stable, and growing global economy. As this year's S&ED will be the last under the Obama administration's leadership, I must stress the continued cooperation with China on the diverse set of issues covered in the S&ED is crucial, not just for our respective countries, but globally as well. Thank you very much.